Hi, this is David Levitt, your host from SYM Radio. SYM Radio is helping raise awareness to missing persons, parental stranger abductions, and human trafficking through our partners. And we're proud to be an affiliate with Carson's Corner, and you're listening to Carson's Corner with Jay Ray and Bob Carson on Underground Progressive Radio, and also at symradio.com/live. Hello, this is your host for the missing and abducted. Most often when a child is abducted, the media will be reluctant to air a story about the alleged abduction of a child. According to the State Department statistics, there are about 3,000 children currently missing who have been abducted by a parent and taken out of the U.S. illegally, and this is a growing phenomenon. Every day a child is suddenly ripped from the life they know, whether it be parental or stranger abductions. And it should be our responsibility as citizens to help bring awareness to these abducted children and the major impact that it has on the families that are left behind. And that is why we have this show, to raise awareness to missing persons and parental stranger abductions, and keeping you updated on what is current in the news on these missing cases and the found. If you are a left-behind parent of a stranger or parental abduction and want the opportunity to explain your story to the general public or know of someone who needs help, then please email us at symradio@yahoo.com.
And welcome to a very special edition, a live edition of Carson's Corner in conjunction with Speak Your Mind Radio, hosted by David Levitt. We have a great show for you today. Let me bring on my co-host for this evening, David Levitt joins us. David, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Very, very good. We're very excited about this show and the opportunity to bring to the general public some heartbreaking stories in what's going on and everything. And we have a lot of people out there listening. And why don't you explain what we have coming on or what we have coming up today on the show?
Okay. Well, first we have Willie C Standberry, Jr. His father has been missing for over 6 years now. His father is a 79-year-old Cleveland man. Has been missing since December 7th of 2006, and his family is asking for help to find him. Willie C Standberry is an endangered missing senior citizen. At the time of his disappearance, he was 73. He's now 79 and will be turning 80 shortly. He was last seen wearing a baseball cap, a beige jogging suit, suede jacket, and he wears glasses, walks with a limp in his right leg, and he has black balding hair, brown eyes. He's 6'2" and 210 pounds. Now, Willie Chuck Standberry was last seen at two locations on Thursday, December 7th of 2006, at approximately 7:15 p.m. near the intersection of East 89th Street and Grand Avenue, where he owns property, and then at a Shell gas station where he got on at East 123rd in St. Clair at approximately 7:45. And that was the last place that he went missing. He was, at the point when I spoke with Willie Jr., his son, earlier tonight, he was a musician. And actually, you have that from that PSA that we created for him. If you could actually play that, because I have to run to the bathroom. So if you can go ahead and play that clip, and then we'll come back in, and we'll hopefully Willie's on the line. He said he'd be calling in about 8:10. We also have Tara, who was an advocate for Willie, and she's in the chat room, and she will be also calling in tonight too.
That's great. Yeah, let's do that. Let's play the Willie Standberry Senior PSA so people can become more acquainted with this case. We'll be right back after this very important PSA.
This webcaster uses Radio Amber, the Internet Radio Amber Alert System, helping to keep your children safe. A public service from the Internet broadcasting community and this station.
Hi, this is your host from SYM Radio with a public service announcement. We have an endangered missing senior citizen alert. He is a 79-year-old Cleveland, Ohio man who has been missing since December 7th, 2006. He was 73 at the time of his disappearance, and his family is asking to help find him. Willie Chuck Standberry was last seen at 2 locations on Thursday, December 7th, 2006, at approximately 7:15 p.m., near the intersection of East 89th Street and Grand Avenue, where he owns property, and then at the Shell gas station where he got gas on East 123rd in St. Clair at approximately 7:45 p.m. He was driving a 2001 Hunter Green Ford Focus with Ohio license plate EAU 8688. When he went missing, he owned 3 houses, was a gospel musician, had a girlfriend, and talked to his grandchildren every day. He has not been seen or heard from since the evening of his disappearance. His race is black, with black balding hair, brown eyes, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and weighs 210 pounds. Wears glasses and walks with a limp in his right leg. He was last seen wearing a baseball cap, beige jogging suit, and suede jacket. If you believe you have any information regarding this case that will be helpful in this investigation, please contact the 24-hour confidential information line at 216-367-9035. For more information on this case also, you can visit their Facebook page at Missing Willie C Standberry Sr. And for other information on all other cases, please visit us on Facebook. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by SYM Radio, J-Ray Radio, and Carson's Corner, a public service for the surrounding communities and the Internet broadcasting community.
Okay, we're back live here at Carson's Corner. David, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that was a PSA regarding the case of Willie Standberry Sr., and we have 2 people on the line, presumably Willie Jr. and Tara, so I don't know which one is which. We're going to bring both of these calls on the line. We'll start with the 561 area code first. Hello, welcome to Carson's Corner in conjunction with Speaker Mind Radio. This is Bob.
Hi, Bob. This is Tara Potenzico Weber, the advocate for the missing.
Hi, thank you very much for calling.
Thank you for having me this evening.
Hi, Tara. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for having me.
We're gonna go to Willie Jr. here now, who's on the line. Willie, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good under the circumstances.
That's good, Willie. Hi, Willie.
How you doing, David?
Good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all the information that you're able to give us. And I know that Carla has more information, and she will be popping in here shortly.
She hasn't walked in as of yet, but as soon as she walks in, she'll be coming right in.
Okay. Well, if you can go ahead and let the audience know about how Willie went missing.
Well, on December 7th, of 06, he went to a friend's house. They were sitting around talking. It was one of his fellow gospel musicians. At which time he received a phone call or gave a call to his girlfriend, told her he would be on his way. His friend physically watched him get in the car, ride up the street, and make a right-hand turn, and that was the last we saw or heard of him. At that point, my wife, when I got home from work, my wife told me what was going on. My sister had called and told us that he was missing. The very next day, I went to all the police, not all the police stations, but the East Cleveland Police Department, all of the TV stations, physically crying, begging to see if anyone would give me some help, and was actually turned down by everyone except for Channel 19. Wow.
And Channel 19 has done, and actually I spoke with you earlier tonight, I actually did go to see if we could pull up some of the archives from the interview that they did with you back at that time, but evidently it's not in their archives. So I know that some places they hold their archives for so long and then they're no longer available.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that my wife Carla has access to them or know how to get a hold to them. Once she comes in, she'll be able to give you a little bit more of what that entails.
Yep. Yes.
Now, Willie, when you went to the police department, what did they say to you?
Actually, I talked to Chief Patricia Ann Lane, who called me in her office and told me this is her baby, this was her case, and she was going to do everything possible to help me. What she did was pulled out a big pile of papers, but she never opened up the folder. So I don't even know if that was even my father's case. To this day, I still don't know if that was his case or not. Since then, she's been released. They have nothing, no writings, no nothing, and basically East Cleveland has done nothing.
That's I that's an absolute shame. It really is, because David and I we've been doing these shows for the better part of a year now, and I hate to say this, but it seems more often than not that this seems to be the response of many police departments throughout the country, where they don't put their diligence into any of these cases, and unfortunately, it leaves family members like yourself in the dark, and it frustrates me to hear this.
It's very frustrating. I actually had another reporter by the name of Carl Mundy come in and do an interview with us. He asked us a series of questions, but one of the main questions which never stays in my head was, if we went to the police station, would they have a police report? Me and my wife both told him they would say no. Carl Mundy asked us if we had a police report. My wife went into her section of papers and pulled out the actual police report. Carl Mundy again said that if I go down to East Cleveland, they would tell me they don't have a police report, and we told him yes. About 15, 20 minutes later, he called us back after he went down to the East Cleveland Police Department, and they verified what we told him they were going to say, that they didn't have a police report, even though he had saw one. He saw the original one.
Wow. So you reported this to the police department, and there seems to be some discrepancy as to whether or not there's even a police report. I find it absolutely amazing that you could have a missing person here and not have a police report.
Well, we have one. We have the original. They the ones seem not to have one, and that's the one that's baffling to me. If we have a copy, you should have a copy of this.
Right, exactly.
And, I'm sorry.
Now, I want to bring in Tara here to the discussion. You're obviously very, very familiar with the details. What is your reaction to the police handling of this case?
Well, I think expanding on what you had initially, I think the problem in the United States with missing people is when you are over 18, they give you the line of you can be missing, and then when you're under 18, you probably ran away. Right. So it's really a difficult thing to try and change a culture of perception on how they view people going missing. and, you know, really listen to the families. And that, from my perspective, I supported several families in Cleveland for many, many years who had missing loved ones. And unfortunately, and it's not just Cleveland, you know, like you said, it's all across the country where there is problems investigating or, you know, not following through, or, you know, and that was one thing that, you know, I encouraged, you know, was for them to keep the documentation and keep the police report and everything. And I, being an advocate and a social worker, I was astonished when East Cleveland said they didn't have the police report, and, you know, we knew they did.
Yeah, that's an absolute disgrace. And, you know, it seems to me that there's a lot of implications here to the fact that, you know, if they don't have a police report on file, then how can we assume that they've done any type of investigation or done their diligence into this case? It's really, really remarkable. I mean, you know, you think of a lot of high-profile cases where there's a lot of media attention, and, you know, if the police department didn't have a police report on the case, then you know, there would be all hell broken loose. Willie, I want to go back to you here. Have since your father has been missing, have you had any contact with the police department? Have they reached out to you at all to update you on any new potential leads, or has it just been, you know, you just trying to find out, struggling to just talk to members of the police department?
It's funny you asked that. I haven't had any contact with the police departments whatsoever. This is a funny story, but it's not funny. I was trying to get the Cleveland police involved, so we were trying to fill out another police report. At that time, when we told them that we had one in East Cleveland, they said that it should have been in a database where it should cover everything. But when they looked into the database, it wasn't there, so they physically called East Cleveland and told them over the phone how to put the report over the database. And not only did it just cover Cuyahoga County, but it covered the United States. They didn't even know how to do it. So it was negligence all the way around. I think they never really took it serious, even though I told him he was 73 years old, where they kept telling me that he could have just walked away. But he was 73 years old. What was the possibility of him just walking away? He only has one eye, which was the reason why he wore glasses. He was in a car accident, so he had a serious limp in his right leg. He owned homes. He had a pretty good cash flow coming in. He had a pension, so he had no reason financially to just want to walk away from his family. He talked to my nephew every day at noontime. Every day. He talked to me at least every Sunday for 3 to 4 hours. So I knew that he just didn't walk away. He has 14 or 15 brothers and sisters. It's over 1,000 of us, nieces, nephews, and cousins in Cleveland alone. So his family was too big where he would have just walked away. It wasn't a reason for him to walk away. Right. And that's what they was trying to push into our heads, that he just walked away. He put all his money under the mattress, and he just walked away. And I just believe that. I never believe that, and I just never believe that.
You know, and David, I want to go to you momentarily, but I got to tell you, when I hear these circumstances, my heart really goes out to you and your family, because, you know, it's one thing to have a missing relative, missing father. I mean, I lost my father. My father passed away in 2005, and I knew, you know, where he was. I knew he had passed away. So it's one thing to have a missing father, a missing relative. That has to have a tremendous impact on your life. And secondly, it's very, very bad to have a police department that seemingly is not cooperative and not working with you. So, you know, I almost feel like you must feel helpless in the sense that you have a police department that seems to have already made up their mind, and you know, you're left in the dark here. It's like, what really, if the police department doesn't want to invest resources in this, if they don't want to, you know, do their job, I guess, you know, one of the few avenues that you have is to try to create some sort of public outrage about this, create public awareness to pressure the police department into doing something. Because, you know, David, I'm sure you could attest to this, that, you know, many cases that you've dealt with, you have police departments sometimes saying the same things, and it's not until a fire is lit under them that they actually begin to work. And it's a shame that it takes that much effort, you know, for them to do their job.
Yes. And I mean, and of course, you know, with you know, the finding of Gina and Amanda, you know, you saw out there, you know, that the police department there in Ohio, they were doing a lot of things for, like, you know, on Missing Children's Day, they're raising the awareness of the people that are missing there in Ohio. But, you know, it takes my opinion is it takes us advocates, and it takes people in the community to actually put pressure on the police department to actually find somebody, or to bring awareness to these cases. I mean, we've had one where it's, I mean, and still, there's been, I mean, she was found, it was Selena Cass. Now, that was here a few years ago. That got me started in being an advocate for the missing, and, you know, when they found her body, you know, not pointing fingers, but people seem to think that the stepfather had something to do with it. And you look at some of the interviews that the stepfather was in, and you can just see that, you know, he knows something. And, of course, you know, you have a family relative that was on a sex offender registry list, and that was there at the home at that night. And, you know, nothing to this day, and it's been over 2 years now, and, you know, poor Louisa, she has not had any justice at all in bringing someone to justice and convicted for this crime. Because the last person that was to see her in the house was her stepfather, and the person that was staying there in the house.
Willie, you described your father, and your father seemed to be a very, very successful and interesting person. What do you have a feeling as to, you know, what you think happened?
Yes, actually, the day before he became missing, I talked to him. He said, "I'm gonna be all right tomorrow. I have a lady taking care of my houses, and I have a lady taking care of my bankruptcies, and I'll be all right tomorrow." Well, when tomorrow came, that's when he became missing. Now, this is just my thoughts. I think that when his houses were refinanced, they told him that the money wasn't there. But in actuality, the money was there. Mm-hmm. By him being up in age, they took advantage of his slow reflexes. And instead of giving him the money that he was promised, I think they did something to him. I can't put my finger on who actually did it, because if that was the case, I would know, and this case would be solved. But I believe there was a mortgage scam involved in this. Also, let me bring this up too. The mayor of East Cleveland talked to my wife on a couple of occasions late night and would say stuff to her like, "Why are you looking for him? He can be at the bottom of the lake in his car."
Wow.
Now, what would make the mayor of the city that he's paying taxes in, make statements like that? Unless he heard something or he knew something.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely inappropriate at the very least. I mean, and it seems that there's so many different implications here. Willie, have you had any type of leads at all? Because, I mean, obviously the police department is kind of stonewalled you. Have you had anything? I mean, anybody call into a tip hotline or just anything at all?
See, now that's where the problem came in. We had got involved with another outfit called Black on Black Crimes, which everything was supposed to have been going through them. Whether or not anybody called and left tips, we don't know. We don't know if they didn't take it seriously or if anybody ever called. And that's what's kind of brought us to a standstill, because we didn't have anybody that could lead us, that could tell us anything. If it hadn't been for Tara, myself and my wife, we wouldn't know what we know now. It was me and my wife who took to the streets at night, going to all the little dead ends where they burn cars, where they steal cars and strip them. We was looking like criminals, actually, as we was looking. We took the investigation into our own hands. Tara gave us sanity because she was able to talk to us and give us a kind of guidance as to which way to do things, how to do things. She set us up with Attorney General, the congressmen. We went to a ball and we met a lot of people through Tara, which we gave our story to, but it's just nothing has never panned out. Nothing has been said.
Did they find the car, Willie?
They never found the car. They never found him. They never found a shoe, a hat, nothing. My wife is right here. She can go into more details for you.
Sure.
Hi. Pretty much, Tara showed me how to contact the Congressman of Ohio and the Attorney General. They also wrote both police departments and told them that they had to help us, but East Cleveland, the mayor told me no government official could make them do anything.
That's really unfortunate. How long ago was that? Were you in contact with Congressman?
That was around 2007 and 2008. They sent me letters, telling me that the law enforcement had to help us, and I wrote them back, and they emailed me, and some of them called, and they couldn't believe that they wouldn't help. The Cleveland Police Department wanted to help, but East Cleveland refused to release any information.
Wow.
That they have. Even the private investigator tried to do it. Once the mayor told me that he could be in the bottom of the lake, he said it several times, go on with our lives. That's when I told my private investigator, and with God being on our side, he was able to get with one of the news channels in Cleveland to have them to search the lake. So they didn't come up with anything, but every time I tried to call and talk to a law enforcement, I got to run around. I got sent to different departments, the dog permit, department and everything. And then I was told, with me being a daughter-in-law, that I had no rights to talk to them. So the family appointed me spokesperson, because everybody was going through a thing with that being, his father, that being their brothers and sisters, and they're in their 70s and 80s. So I took it upon myself to do it. And I even told the Senator Brown, I said, out of all these years, I've never did anything against the law, but they make me feel like I've committed a crime.
Right.
And I'm like, that's, not fair. They won't talk. They won't talk to the private investigator. They won't talk to anyone.
Yeah, this is, I really, hearing this, it's almost, I can't imagine how you feel. It almost feels as if the police department is almost aiding and abetting, what happened here. I mean, it just seems that, they're stonewalling you. not working with the authorities. And you know, and the thing about it is, Carla, is that this took place pretty much right after Willie Sr. was missing. So if they're giving you this much resistance, you know, pretty much, you know, I guess not too far after he went missing, now it's the clock is really running down, and now it's you know, it's 7 years later, almost 7 years later, and it's going to be hard to even get them to lift a finger. I find this just absolutely remarkable. Tara, are you renewing efforts to try to reach out to individuals, to pressure authorities to release information and to investigate them? Is there any new developments in that area?
No. Our private Tara has still been working on it, even though she moved to Florida. With our private investigator, Mr. D, he had, I think it's a assistant attorney investigator that she even went through some stuff, and she was like, she couldn't believe how the doors were being shut.
Right.
That, you know, East Cleveland didn't want to talk about it. And then when they did a news segment of how East Cleveland was handling the case, East Cleveland called the detective and said, okay, we want to help you guys. You know, we want to get this solved. We want to help. And then he said he heard nothing else from them. They told him that they were tired of the news media making them look bad, people calling. They wanted to help, and when he went to call them back, they still gave him the run around. They still wouldn't answer his call.
Well, Carl, I want to go back to you. Willie was telling us about what he thought might have happened, and it really sounds very, very sinister. But obviously there's major concerns here. I mean, there is all these different things do not add up, and the fact that they found no car, and I'm presuming that Willie Sr. was fairly well known in the area, so if he was around, if he was in the area, presumably people would see him. And I know you guys have done a lot of work. You probably would have ran into somebody that would have seen him after the date he went missing. Right. And so, I got to ask you, are you on the same page with Willie Jr. about what you think may have happened to Willie Sr.?
Yes, because I was the one that when the police wouldn't help, I would go on the internet, look up different things. I pulled all his mortgage stuff. I talked to people that had last talked to him. And there was one lady in particular, he didn't make sense. He didn't make sense of some of the things that she was saying. And even at the time, the chief of police, when she tried to talk to her, he would ignore her, and she'll tell her that I need you to come in and talk to me. She never would. Well, within maybe a year of that, police chief got fired. Mm-hmm. And when she got fired and the private investigators tried to go and talk to her, he, instead of him going, he sent his wife to make her feel more comfortable. And she basically said, I have nothing to say. You have to talk to my lawyer.
Now, do you still have a private investigator working on this case?
Yes.
Okay. That gives us some hope. I mean, I wish that there was somebody, because I do a political show, and I speak to investigative journalists, and this really seems like a case that you'd really almost see a movie based on because of these circumstances. And have you had how have the news media recently, have news outlets been covering this story? Because, when Dave and I were preparing for the show, we didn't find a lot of articles about this. I mean, David, was it you that were saying that there wasn't a lot of information on this case? His cell phone must be cutting out. But
it's not a lot. The private investigator was able to get one of the newsmen to talk to us and interview us, and that was about a year ago. They aired it last February.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one that they were trying to do coming up to when he was missing. But a lot of news media didn't want to talk to us because of the police didn't give them the okay.
Oh, wow, really?
To talk to us. But there was one channel that had compassion and was like, I'm still going to come into your house and talk to you. Even the news person was told that we never filed the missing persons report. He kind of laughed at it because I had just gave him a copy of it. And, he asked them, and they was like, oh, they never filed a report. And he was like, oh, okay. And he told his cameraman, he was like, we got them. They lied.
Wow.
Yeah.
They lied.
Is this Carla?
Yes.
Yes, Carla. Would you have access to that for my records? And it's something that that we can that people can actually look at. I don't know if you have access to that at all. Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. That was my question: is if you have a link to that you could possibly post on the Facebook page for people to actually see, and just to to know that they were lying when they said that there was no police report filed.
Right. We have where they aired it. It's on Channel 19. I can look it up.
Okay, yeah, because I went earlier to try, and I did keyword searches for Willie, and nothing really came up.
Right. But no, they didn't, even with the Attorney General, he didn't put anything on there until the private investigator got to pushing some issues, and that's when the district attorney was talking to him, and they pushed some more stuff, and he was like he couldn't believe that it was nothing out there, and the only thing I have a problem with is, and it kind of hurts my heart, is that the girlfriend died, which that's where he was supposed to go to. The last person that saw him, his buddy, has died.
When did the girlfriend die?
She died, it'll be 2 years in August. She had cancer.
And the last person that seen Willie Sr. Alive died.
He died maybe a year before she did. He had lost his son, and they said he buried his son, and he died that night.
Oh, wow.
So it's like two key people that they needed to talk to. They're no longer here.
This is, go ahead, Dave, I'm sorry.
This is just sad. I'm speechless. I can't believe that this is going on. The way the Cleveland, the way the police department is, and then saying that there was no missing report filed when Carla has the copy of the report.
Right.
So the investigator. This puts flags up. And this would put flags up in anybody's head that's listening.
Right. Well, and another disturbing detail of this is, Carl, as you alluded to, the fact that the police department would be against news reports about this case. Now, why in the world would a police department, which their job is presumably to find this person, why in the world would they object to news reports coming out highlighting this case. I mean, to me, it seems weird, and I'm not someone that I generally support law enforcement. I have a college degree in criminal justice. My associate's degree is in criminal justice. I work in a semi-law enforcement capacity, so I don't want anybody out there to think that we're just anti the cops and we're just we're just that's not the case at all, I'm sure. But to me, this seems just very, very odd and almost, again, it almost seems like they have a vested interest in terms of suppressing this, covering it up. Maybe, the implications are just they're out there. There's a lot of different things that could have happened here, but it doesn't make sense to anybody. And I got to tell you, if you've got to ask the question, Carla, and I'm sure Willie Jr. have pondered this as well. If this had happened to another person, if this had happened to a college, a kid, or fill in the blank, would the police have had the same reaction? Because we've seen some cases that have been highlighting just nonstop attention from the authorities, where people of different races and so on and so forth could wind up getting the most attention. So, do you think that plays a role in it at all?
Somewhat, I do. Because after dealing with it and me dealing with it personally, because it took a toll on my husband, his health failed, he started getting high blood pressure, he experienced migraines for 60 days, he got in therapy and everything, so I kept it going, and like I told the senator and I told one of the officers, I said, I feel like I've committed a crime.
Right.
That here it is, I have a missing loved one, and no one's willing to help. But there, at the time he was missing, there was a Chinese lady missing. They aired her all over the TV for a whole 3 weeks. They wouldn't put my father-in-law on TV.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what we're talking about. We lost Tara, I believe. She was reconnecting with the show. Tara, is that you?
Say that again?
Yeah, that's me.
I'm sorry. We disconnected there. Do you have any thoughts on some of the issues that we've been talking about here?
Oh, sure. Tara, you mean me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Of course, I always have something to say. I wanted to elaborate on what you said about being supportive of law enforcement, because I think that's really important. As a social worker from Bowling Green State University in Ohio, that's where I got my advocacy training from Ohio law enforcement. So that was also where I learned from some fantastic detectives, particularly in Euclid, Ohio, about investigation and advocacy and seeing police officers treat victims of violent crime over a course of 20 years with dignity and respect. And I just wasn't seeing that. Obviously, in this case, is absolutely horrifying. And I think what's key for people to realize, Carla and I worked together for a long time documenting things and contacting and making paper trails. And I got to tell you, it's astounding the number of contacts. Like Chuck Jr. had said, we went to a ball, we went to vigils, we networked across the board, and they did everything that they could possibly do, in terms of what an advocate might suggest, my contact suggested. And I tell you, even Senator Brown encouraged the police departments in writing to work together, East Cleveland and Cleveland, and that's a United States senator.
Right.
And it still did not happen. And I don't know why. I don't know, personally, as a human being, I don't know how anyone can treat anybody the way that this family has been treated when a loved one has gone missing. And but unfortunately, I think what they've experienced is not uncommon. And that's not uncommon for victims of crime. It's not just families of, people that have people missing. Unfortunately, it's the system, too.
Senator Brown, I've somewhat followed his career. I'm in New Jersey, and so I'm not too far away from him. But I follow his career, and he seems like someone that would be genuinely compassionate, and he seems like someone that would want to help out in the future. So, do you have any contact with him still regarding this case?
With who?
Senator Brown.
With this case, directly, no. The contact was made through Carla because she had initiated the letter. But I also do know that Senator Brown was also supportive to other families in the Cleveland area and Ohio that have missing loved ones. And for me, someone who is recovering from a chronic illness, he supported me and helped advocate for my son and I with illness. So I think he is a wonderful example of what someone can do for the constituents when they are in office, because everybody else around these families, with this family in particular, nobody would help them.
Yeah, and this is a sitting United States senator, and I'm sure if he would leave his door open to you, Carla, I'm sure that there may be a way for you to get in contact with him again. Although really at this point, if he's already written a letter to try to get them to work together and they haven't done it, then it's unfortunately I don't know if there's really anything much more he could do.
Mhm. Yeah, because that's tough, because when you look at the dynamics of our system, United States Senator has a lot of power.
Right.
And really that's a disrespect to the office, disrespect across the board, for human rights and dignity. And, we have an elderly man missing, and it was, it's infuriating.
We have a phone call now from 216 area code. Carla and Tara, how are you fixed for time? Do we have time to take this phone call?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay. Willie, that's you. You're back on the line now, Willie?
Yes, I am. Well, you're on speakerphone, so me and my wife are both sitting here.
Perfect. Okay, let's take this call from 216 area code. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome. This is Mr. D, the private investigator. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you very much for calling.
Great. Yeah, I'm really happy that Carla and Tara and Chuck are on and getting their story out there. It makes me feel good.
Well, I got to tell you, David and I have done a little research into this, within the last week or so, but we haven't spent a lot of time. I wasn't aware of these details that we're learning about today, and I got to tell you, I have never heard of anything like this before. I mean, just the stonewalling by the police department, the lack of cooperation, the circumstances. As I mentioned earlier, it's almost I've seen Hollywood movies that were based on less, so to speak.
Yeah, and it really is unfair to actual police departments to call the East Cleveland people police departments. They're nothing short of ridiculous. So what got me involved in the case in the very first place was the fact that I didn't believe Willie and Carla. I didn't feel that it was possible that a police department could be so absolutely without feeling. And literally within the first few days, I was absolutely stunned.
And then you've got the mayor too, making these inappropriate comments. That certainly doesn't seem like an appropriate thing to say to you, what he said to you, Carla. It almost, you know, to me, it almost casts suspicion on himself. Just saying that it's not an appropriate reaction to, you know, when you're talking to someone who's had a loved one missing, and it just, I guess it just further adds to the mystery surrounding this case.
Yes.
And I wonder, what is it exactly, Tara, you may be able to answer this question. What is it exactly that we do to go forward here? Because, you know, obviously we have a police department that is not interested in working with you, and they seem to have shut the door on this case. Is it just a matter of, you know, reaching out to media outlets and other individuals that could, you know, raise awareness and create pressure on the police department to do something about this? And what's the blueprint for going forward?
Now, who is that question for?
It could be for anybody. I mean, if you all want to chime in on that's fine.
Well, for me, now that I'm one of the victims, we are family. There's quite a few of us, and the way I connect with a lot of people of the missing is on Facebook. So we are all family, whether we know each other personally or not. We are all family because we're all going through the same thing. The reason why we are putting everything on Facebook is to bring awareness, to let other people know that if you don't stick together, if you don't try to keep your sanity, you would just get pushed by the wayside. We were blessed for us to meet Tara, for us to meet Mr. D, for you guys to even come into our lives. We were blessed that way. It took 7 years, close to 7 years, but we were blessed. Tara and Mr. D has been with us since virtually the beginning. It's a roller coaster. I personally wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. For my family, especially my son, which his birthday is the same day as my father's, he hates his birthday because he's so used to talking to him on that day. If no other time, he talks to him on his birthday, so he hates that day. With me, it's just, I'm more frustrated than anything. I never, again, you see stuff on TV and your heart goes out. And me just being a regular average Joe, my heart went out to the Jesus, to Amanda Berry and family when their daughters became missing. I would just wanted to believe that everybody would feel that compassion, but that's not the case. Most of the time, if it's not happening with you, most people just push it to the side. Me personally, I can't push it to the side. This is going to be an ongoing event for me forever until I get answers. So I'm going to keep doing and keep doing and keep doing until I get answers.
Anybody else have anything yet?
Well, I think the only thing that we really need for this case to go forward is for the East Cleveland Police Department to get out of the way. The reason why we can't have Crime Stoppers money is because East Cleveland won't ask for Crime Stoppers money. The only reason why we can't get the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation to help us is because East Cleveland won't get out of the way. If they would simply get out of the way, I believe that we could find out what happened to Mr. Standberry relatively quickly. The answers, we all know on this line what happened to Mr. Standberry. We know it. But we just need East Cleveland to get out of the way so we can prove it. That's the truth.
I agree totally.
Totally, yes.
With the information that we've developed over the years and with the people that we've spoken to and with the evidence that we've seen, all we need is for East Cleveland to admit that they're not going to help just get out of the way and let us take care of it. That's all they need to do. Pretty simple. Don't do anything, which is what you've been doing all along. But just officially get out of the way.
That would help us out greatly.
Unbelievably.
Yeah, I it's just, Willie, you're talking about this, how other families and other people only care about it when it happens to themselves. When if it's not their relative, then they kind of put it on the back burner or whatever. And David, there have been some families. Well, I don't want to say that, but in your experience, David. How has it been working with families that have missing relatives in terms of their support from other families? I mean, it seems that, Willie, you mentioned you guys are all families, and you're going through this together, and this is an ongoing battle for all of you. But David, has that been the case with other families that have been going through the same thing? David, I mean, have they sort of taken that approach and linked with families that are also going through the same thing and try to raise awareness for several other cases? Because we've had some people on this show, Glendine Grant and others. We even had Gina DeJesus' mother call in last year, and they were always the first to promote other cases and raise awareness to other cases, because it's going through something like this is just tremendous for anybody that's a missing relative.
Yes, Bob, that's a good question. I'm going to point out a good example to your question. Let's take what just happened a month ago today in May. Heather, who I work with and who also had a daughter taken and was raped, she organized an online prayer vigil, made up flyers for other people who were missing around the Cleveland area. And she personally went to Cleveland to help hand out those flyers. And look, all three girls, Gina, Amanda, and Michelle, who were held captive for over a decade, were found. And I believe it was Gina who said that she even saw the news on flyers being handed out. So by other families connecting with other families who have a missing loved one or a missing relative, it helps keep these cases in the public eye, and it also gives the families moral support, because they know how it feels to have a missing loved one. And once they connect, they become a family. It's like kindred spirits, and they're hoping that the media will pick it up to make the public vigilant.
That's what I meant by us being a family. The ones who are not victims, they normally don't normally come out to it like us, the persons that are the victims. That's the better way I can say it. Us that are the victims, we understand what each one of us is going through. A lot of people don't understand what entails with having a missing loved one. A lot of people just don't understand. So again, it was a blessing that I was on Facebook and I was talking to Miss White, and she in turn got me connected with David, which in turn got me connected to you. And I just see, when I see stuff on Facebook about the missing, that's what my whole page is all about. I'm sharing everything that I see with missing people. I'm sharing constantly. That's what I do daily, since I'm physically unable to go to work right now. So I do that basically all day long, all day until I go to sleep. I'm on my Facebook page, steady, constantly sharing other family missing people's. I'm just trying to do what I can do to do my part. Because I understand we don't have a support group like, say, Narcotics Anonymous or the AAA. We don't have a support group like that. Or I guess amongst ourselves, we try to create our own support group.
What about John Walsh? Has anybody been in contact with John Walsh? Has he done any reporting on this case?
You tell him that one.
Well, we contacted John Wash, and for what we were told was, you send the information in, and they choose who they want to profile.
And a lot has to do with the fact that it has to be submitted by a police department.
Yeah.
For get it to be on there, and that just wasn't going to happen. And we tried to explain that to pretty much 48 Hours, Dateline, America's Most Wanted when they were on television, and a couple of the other places that Mr. Standberry's case didn't involve sex or steroids or a lot of money or cocaine. It wasn't a sexy missing persons case, and that's a direct quote. And since we don't really have the support of any law enforcement agency at all, those type of resources are just not open to the Standberry family, unfortunately, which is a surprise to me, that I thought that anybody with a missing person can access these type of things, but it's all pretty much controlled by what the police want to do.
Mr. D, have you actually looked into anyone in the East Cleveland Police Department, and have you kind of had any information as to maybe any impropriety there regarding this investigation?
This particular investigation, no, but I mean the East Cleveland Police Department is pretty notorious in the Northern Ohio area. I mean, the chief the chief that they were talking about was let go for some improprieties with drug transactions that were handled by her department. They have problems every couple of years where they lose chiefs and they lose patrol officers for one thing or the other. It isn't beyond the realm of possibility, but at the same time, I don't know what would be worse, them doing something or them what they're doing now, which is absolutely nothing. So, I mean, I don't know. They couldn't do any better job messing it up on purpose than just not doing it, which is what they seem to be very good at.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if we may have even touched this, but is there any agency within the government that you could file a complaint with? Is there any recourse that you could do to try to get them to do a better job, or at least, as you say, officially acknowledge that they're not going to help and get out of the way?
Well, surprisingly, police don't have to investigate anything. I mean, they basically can or cannot investigate crimes. That's up to them. An injunction or a request, what attorney would help the Standberry family? I mean, it might take years in which to force the Cleveland or the East Cleveland Police Department to do anything. And at this point, I don't know if I'm not speaking for the family, but I don't know if I want them to do anything but get out of the way. I don't really have any confidence in their ability to investigate it. So forcing them to investigate it might not be the best thing for us to do. I mean, that's obviously a decision that the family would make, and I would support their decision. But at the same time, them getting involved now would really just frighten me. I don't want them anywhere near it. I want them to get out of it and just let professional law enforcement people handle it.
Hey, man,
they're willing to help, but they won't help unless the East Cleveland Police Department requests them in. They can request them in and step back, and we could have agents of the Attorney General who have spoken to me directly and to the family directly. Listen, we will help you, but they have to call us in, and that's where the trouble starts.
Me personally, I hope that they just continue to do what they do and that stay out the way.
Yeah.
Now, we've been talking a great deal about the investigation, and we talked a little bit about Willie Sr., but I kind of want to, get some of your thoughts on who he was as a person, because, I think it's important for us to remember, just how these people are, and just remember, what they are, because when you're going through a difficult time like this, sometimes I would guess, like I know with the loss of my parents, if I remember certain things about them and remember who they were, it helps me to get through some of the more difficult times. So, Willie, we could start with you. What do you want the audience to know about your father?
My father was a good man. He will reach out and help you in any possible way he can. I have a story about him. When I was a little kid, he played with a gospel group called the Cleveland All-Stars. They called him up on stage one night, and I ran up on stage with him. And I really expected him to tell me to sit down, but instead he pulled me next to him and let me stay up there with him. And that's what gave me the idea or the gumption to want to become a musician, was because I got my first taste of being able to see what it was like in front of an audience through him. Not only did he do me like that, he did my son like that. He did my nephew like that. He did my brother like that. I mean, he was just a good guy. I can't, there's so many things that I can say about him, and we really don't have enough time that I could just go on and on and on and on, but I would just say he was a good guy. He did whatever he had to do to take care of his family. And what gave me, that instilled in me the ideal of family first. You take care of your family. You go out, you work, you take care of your family. You do what you have to do to make sure that your family is taken care of. And I got that from him. I got one to be, again, a musician through him. The last time we used to talk about us playing, and I told him, I said, Pop, I done played everywhere in the country. He said, but there's one place you haven't played that I played. And I said, what's that? He played at the Apollo. I never had a chance to play at the Apollo, but he did. And that's the thing he always kept over me. You never got to play at the Apollo, but I did. And that's what I kind of remember. I keep them good thoughts like that in my mind to keep me going. It's frustrating, but I look back over my life and I think about all the good things and the talks we had, and he didn't ever lead me wrong. He always steered me in the right direction. So I'm always love him. And until I find answers, I'll never stop. I'll never stop looking. I'll continue to look. And
what about you, Carla?
Yeah, what about you, Carla?
Personally, with me not having my father in the house, and I met him when I was 16, that was like my father. I could call him about anything. He was there if you called him, no matter what time it was. He never showed nothing but love. He loved all his grandkids. There is a big family. Like I said, it was 17 of them. I think 5 died. It was 12. Since he's been missing, he has lost a brother, he's lost a sister, he's lost a niece. And the brother and sister had cancer, and they just gave up because they didn't know what happened to their brother. And they couldn't take it. But he always, if you were in a building and you were looking down and sad, he would always walk in and say, you have something to smile about, you're beautiful. He would, he was a ladies' man. I mean, even if he walked into the gas station and if a young lady that was a cashier looked it down, he'll be like, wait a minute, baby, you're too cute to, have a frown on your face. You need to smile. If the men didn't remember him, the women remembered him. If nobody else did. And he was just that charming gentleman to, even when he was missing and the chief of police took us through City Hall, everybody knew him and had a story to tell.
Yeah.
But they still didn't help us. Even though everybody knew him and had a story to tell, they still didn't help us.
And it was an incident where one of his tenants called in and said, well, I last saw him at the gas station, and the police department stated, how do you know it was him? How do you know that's what he had on? You could have been watching the news. And she was upset about that. They took it as a joke.
They took my father's whole case as a joke. My father's case was a joke to East Cleveland from the very beginning. It was a joke from the very beginning. I kept my sanity again through my grandchildren, my wife. Carl was tremendous in helping me get through some of the very rough times. Mr. D came along, and that was like my guardian angel. He helped me through some difficult times, and he can attest to when we talk about my father, the emotions that I show, because it's real.
And it's just that we're trying to find answers because his older brother is 82, and it's basically like we were in Cleveland last weekend, and it's basically like he's just given up. He's ready to die. You know, not knowing where their brother is, but they're older, and I didn't expect them to get out and try to find him because they're in their 80s and 70s.
And my thing was, he was my father. So, of course, I'm going to get out and do any and everything I can to get information. Like I said, I went through the areas of the lowest parts of the city where all you seen was drug dealers and drug addicts and abandoned cars, burnt up cars and everything. I was stopping police on in the middle of the street, asking questions to where to find these places. Everything that I've done has been genuine. I have nothing to gain out of this other than getting my father back. That's all I want.
Are you confident that you're going to be able to get the answers that you want?
Now, the thing with that is, I was telling Carla, and I also told Tara, I was happy, sad when Gina and them was found. The thing that I stated after the fact was the one thing they had on their side that my father didn't have on his side was youth. At the time my father became missing, he was 73. He'll be 80 in October. So he had way more time behind him than he had in front of him. And I'm just hoping that I can find anything. I would be happy with a shoe.
Now, is there, I kind of wanted to close it up here. Is there any website, I guess, that people can go to find out more information, and people can, on Facebook and wherever, can share information about this case through social media?
I did set him up a missing person page on Facebook. I pretty much have went on all the other missing people social networks and put his information on there. There's one on MySpace. Gina De Jesus has been a great inspiration where they have his information on there. The Jason Project, they have the information on there. Pretty much all the missing social networks have his information.
Black and missing.
Even the Native American with Tara, I try to keep them on Facebook because there's more people on Facebook. It's a lot of young people. It's a lot of family members, and Facebook seems to be the one that people talk about more. I've even went putting them on Twitter. I'll post stuff on there, but pretty much I think I've have him all over the internet.
Yeah, and Willie and I and David are friends on Facebook, and so we'll be trying to share any posts about this case. And David and I are working on expanding our reach, getting people to to help out and to post information regarding these cases. So I kind of wanted to throw it back to you. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I just think it's really good to never give up hope. Obviously, when we do see people come back home alive, it is great inspiration to those families who still don't have the answers. And I think it's really important for people who don't have a loved one missing to try and understand how painful it is, and it really trickles down, into the community when people go missing, and when you don't have a positive law enforcement response, it just is even, there's another re-victimization there from a whole different thing that causes damage. So hopefully we can continue to move forward and get his case out there, and hopefully it would be nice to see East Cleveland get out of the way and put it in writing.
Do you have any website for the work that you do?
You can go to Amina's Law on Facebook. It's capital letters AMINA, and there's updated information that we have about some upcoming legislation and the other cases too. We just keep generating about what's going on. Like Carla said, on Facebook, it's really a great network for the missing and the families.
Absolutely. And Mr. D, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just to real quickly, I just want the listeners to understand that when the East Cleveland Police Department actually did acknowledge that there was a police report on a missing person, people need to realize that the entire report, the entire information on that report would sit on one Twitter post. One. That's all the information that's ever been generated by the East Cleveland Police Department. One Twitter post, which is staggering. It's absolutely staggering. It's been 7 years. That's all they have. I had more information than that in a day. But irregardless, I also want people to know you'll never meet the Standberry family from all over the country. You might not like the Standberry family, you might like me, whatever. If somebody you love disappeared and nobody cared, what would you do? Where would you go? There's nothing. There's nothing out there. It's a sea of scam artists, shysters. There's great people, but you have to weed through all of them to get to what you need to help get your loved one home. If nobody cares, you're in a world of hurt. So.
Do you have any websites or anything that you want to direct people to?
Well, if they have any questions, specific questions, if they don't believe how bad this has been, just send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to show you what we got. It's Pete, P-E-T-E, at investigatohio.com. Feel free to ask me the questions. Feel free to doubt me. That's where I was, 4 or 5 years ago when I first came on board with this. And I'll be more than happy to give you what I have, and you can make up your own minds.
Well, listen, I really want to thank each and every one of you, and really, what really comes through here tonight is your level of passion and your level of determination to try to find out the answers that you desire. And I think it's absolutely great that you guys are all working together and helping each other out. And I just want to let you know, and I know I can speak on behalf of David, whose phone keeps on going in and out, that I'll be happy. We'll be happy to have you on the show anytime you want to. We've been going almost for an hour and a half now, and I feel that we can go for another 2 or 3 hours. Just because of the fascinating nature of this case, and just all of the improprieties and all of the different things that you have experienced, and the East Cleveland Police Department. And Todd, I think you brought up a good point about how the police conduct victimizes the families again, and that's something I was alluding to earlier. How Willie Sr., his brother, is having health problems, and I'm sure that they're related to this case, and I know that it's got to be stressful to everybody involved. And if anything that we can do to help, we'd be happy to have each and every one of you on the show whenever you guys want to discuss this and anything else going forward. So that's kind of our pledge to you out there, that you can consider this your show. It's your show as well, so I just want to thank you, and hopefully we can work together, all of us. I'm on Facebook, so each and every, Willie, I know you and I are friends on Facebook, but I'd recommend anybody that wishes to become my friend on Facebook, and you can become David's friend as well, and we'll be happy to work together going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say one thing, if anybody can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I have a question for the private investigator.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You mentioned, I didn't catch your email address. If you could send me your email address,
sure.
So that way we can at least keep in contact on what's going on with the case and whatnot, and any updates, because that's what we do on our show, is we do any updates on cases like this.
Not a problem.
Okay, all right. And Tara, she's up right on my list, so I'm friends with her, so that's a good way to connect with me, too.
Yeah.
So, and thank you, Tara, for calling in. Thank you, Willie, and Carla for coming on and willing to get this case out here. Because we need to get this out, and we need to get Willie found one way or another.
And I just say thank you for all your help.
Yeah. And everybody, you can listen to that PSA, and if you want to download that PSA, there is all kinds of audio capturing software that you can get for free on the internet to download and actually share that on all social networks. And even to have it, you can even listen to it on your cell phone and even share it that way. There's a mobile app with VoicePo that you can actually download for your cell phone and for smartphones, and you can actually play it and you can share this with all your other friends.
Okay.
So,
Right.
I just found that out from Justin, the one that did the PSA for you, that helped me with it. He told me that there is a mobile app that you can download for the phone, and you can share it that way too.
Okay, I'll look into my Play Store, and that way I can download it on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. It's right in the Google Play Store. You can get it right there.
Okay.
Right, so.
Absolutely. Well, guys, again, thank you very much for coming on the show, and anytime you guys are welcome back on the show. Let's all keep in contact, and let's continue the fight moving forward.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Willie. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, caller. Bye,
Take care.
caller.
Okay, bye-bye.
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 All right, David, you still on?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if people there in the chat room are listening to the show, if they can hear it, but your voice sounds like you're in a tunnel, so I'm kind of having a hard time hearing you and some of the things that you do say. I don't know if anybody else.
I hope that that's just your phone, because so far I have to go back and listen to the show to turn out, but I don't have any fan blowing. So the connection should be okay, but I'll have to go back. I don't think it's my connection. I certainly hope not. But in any event, we just had, this was absolutely great. It's very, very gut wrenching hearing Willie talk about his father and some of the details concerning his case. I alluded to this on air that I wasn't aware of just how bad the police investigation has been, and just all of the other improprieties that we heard about. The lack of a police report, the mayor telling Carl that he may be on the bottom of a river. The Senator Brown, Sherrod Brown, writing and trying to implore lawmakers or the law enforcement officials to work together with the federal officials, and all of this goes ignored, and nothing happens. And I'm just like, what's the deal here? What's going on here?
Well, what I think is going on here is somebody in the Cleveland Police Department or in some higher office, mayor's office, whatever, they know something. They know what happened to Willie, or they know of someone that knows, and they're hiding something. That's what I think.
Hello again, and this is your host for Speaker Mind Radio and the Missing and Abducted Radio Show. We did actually have, there was an update with this case back in November of 2014. The East Cleveland Police Department are now trying to turn up the heat on the cold case by offering a $5,000 reward for information that will uncover the truth about what happened to Standberry. Sergeant Scott Gardner told Fox 8, "I believe that any person that goes missing, a homicide victim, those people, not only do they need justice and the truth be told, but their family needs closure and needs to know what happened." Private investigator Peter Demopoulos, who you've just heard much later into the show, volunteered her services after the Standberry case profiled on TV 5 years ago. He believes that Willie Standberry was murdered inside his home by someone who knew him well. The home has since been demolished, and so has most of the evidence. But bank records that still exist show that someone plundered Standberry's bank account after he vanished. And you can read more of this on my website at symradio.com/news. And there is actually a video there where Mr. D talks about what he also believes too. So you could actually go to that and read more up on it. And also I want to stress too to actually follow the Justin Harvey show. As we were doing the show, he's already gotten 2 likes. So if people are listening out there on the website or on our widgets or on YouTube and Google Plus, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. We both appreciate it, because the more we get, then we can actually get this show on his platform and iHeartRadio, and be able to actually do the live shows and take calls from Skype. And actually be able, it would be a lot easier for us too, because we could actually interview the families, because they can actually just call right in, rather than having to record the shows before we go live, before we actually do a show. Like I say, these shows are pre-recorded as of right now, because we can't do any live shows. We only are allowed to do 30 minutes at a time. So that would really help if we could get Justin another 14 likes, 14 follows, and you can go to Spreaker.com, the Justin Harvey Show. Alright, so I want to go ahead and actually end off with my friend's music video, Julie Marie, that you heard earlier, Haiti Girl. This is her first single that she came out with about a little over a year ago. She's already got 100,000 followers on YouTube. She's out on tour right now with Mindless Behavior. She's been doing some work with, or in the works of doing some work with Justin Bieber. And she's actually performing really well. She's actually just got back from Haiti. She performed at a crowd, a lot of people, thousands of people. The president of Haiti was there. She performed for him. So she's actually getting out there, and like I say, she's got that movie coming out sometime soon that deals with martial arts. So everybody follow her also on Facebook at I am Julie Marie. Julie Marie Dabuz. And you can go to our website, I am Julie Marie Music. and you can follow her on iTunes. And all the links will be in the description below. So everybody, here is Julie Marie with Generation. Good night. Thanks for listening. God bless. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add is there is no copyright infringement here because I do have permission to be playing her music on the air because we are promoting it for her. I just wanted to mention that just in case.
No, stop, don't, I swear that's all I ever hear you people say. But this is our generation, ain't no time for all these games you wanna play. If you got nothing nice to say, then baby, words don't mean a thing. There must be something in your head going so wrong, thinking I give it down. It must be your ego, think you're a superhero. It must be your ego, you're not coming down. This is our generation, our generation, our generation. This is our generation, going hard, ain't stopping now, marching loud, all up in your face. You call us superficial, but you really underestimate. All your talk is really cheap, that's why attention is so hard to pay. Must be something in the air, got you on one, probably 'cause you're scared